Oh yeah, it worked today. Welcome back to another episode of Leading Crypto. We are back in action. So we took Hump Day off yesterday. Hope you all had a great Wednesday afternoon on this beautiful holiday week here. So we're going to be jumping into what Bitcoin price action is looking like right now. We got a look and a pulse on Ethereum as well, potentially the SPX, DXY. Pretty much everything that we take a look at daily here. So if you do enjoy our content that we do try to provide Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, be sure to like and subscribe to the video. My name's CVO, joined by Magic Internet Money and Burr Max here. And we're just going to jump right on into it. So Magic, would you like to start off with some Bitcoin?
Yeah. Bitcoin, guys, very, very simple stuff. We've been talking about the same levels for the past week. It's something that really hasn't changed yesterday either, but you were looking for essentially a flip of, I believe it's one of this box. That's the one. You have a nice gold pocket here just from your most recent local high to low, right? You had the monthly open there. The previous week open was there as well. There was a member in our group that was on about that. So another level to add to it. And, really just have to get through this resistance. If you can look up to probably 17,500, 17,400, take these local highs and play around. However, not really how things are playing out right now. It looks like it wants to come back and retest some of these local lows. If you go out to the daily, you can see you do have some support here. So that'd be the next area of interest to me. Big reason being is if you were to look at this from just a weekly time frame, let's get rid of some of this low time frame stuff. Oh, and one other thing for anyone that's in the group and understands anchored VWAPs, there you go. There's your range anchored VWAP. It's something that we brought up. Sorry, I have an alarm there for a casserole that's going in the oven. I did not time it very well with the stream. So yeah, your anchored VWAP for the entire range. And what I mean by that is our merged range from when we dropped out of our 20K range. So that would be here. And there we go, my ranges folder. Sorry, I'm still not fully awake this morning. It is right here. So not unexpected to get a rejection here. Nothing's technically broken yet. However, if we start living below the previous week low, so again, going back out to that weekly time frame we were just discussing, not something you want to be doing is living below this previous week low, which does come in, I believe, in the 16,400s. Oh, that's not the right weekly open. There we go. And we'll go ahead and just put a channel on it. So about right here. So what you want to see is us setting up shop here and holding on to 16,528. There is a local daily just beneath it, I believe, at 16,429.50. So if we got to a daily now and we start kind of perusing a little bit, we can see that this is going to be like a zone, that little $100 window that you really want to see holding as support. If lost, you can start looking down towards the overall range value area low. Now, this is an technically untapped daily. However, as I stated last week, if we're making this move and we start giving essentially this box up right here, this local market structure, you do have support here that you can see has been set up. And I think it would be good for a bounce. However, and it's in line with our target, right? So if we pull up the shark one more time, just for funsies, and we look at our target, it does come in here at about 15,772, which does line up with your relevant levels here at 15,744. So that 886 is the next target. And I think if we start closing below 16,429, that's where you're probably going to see that target. Now, a swing fail of this low right here is always on the table in that instance. So you do need to be aware. We can't fall in love with that idea. But coming down to this 886, is it going to produce a bounce? Potentially, it really could produce a bounce. But at the same time, when you just look at this price action, there's really no reason this support would not provide a new additional low, meaning that I would expect to see this low right here taken yet again. And when I say taken, it could just swing fail the level. However, it could also initiate moves into some of our lower targets. And for anyone that knows, I'm looking for those lower targets still because price just has not done anything to sway my opinion. And I know there's a lot of people that say you have to be proactive and you have to front run things with indicators and try to predict when the change is coming. And be honest with you guys, I think that was a really big mistake by most traders all throughout 2022 because everyone was predicting bottoms the whole way. Now, we talked about how these were bottoms, but they weren't meant to be overall bottoms. We always had our invalidation at like 47,707. Got to get a closure above there. Never did. Right here, 32K. What did we see? Yet another range retest. 25K, another range retest, and then now another range retest. So I don't think that there's any reason just to start flipping sides, just to flip sides. We have no indication in terms of a market as a whole that price is shifting the opposite direction. So if we go back to the fund folder, this is something I've been bringing up for weeks and waiting on. This is a pattern that's been, I'm looking to play out sometime between Christmas and the 23rd or the 15th of January, excuse me. It is a crab. So we do have a nice deep crab here, and that would be in line with our pitchfork from our shark, right? So now we have a shark pitchfork and a projection of time and price, and it's just absolutely perfect. Rarely do we get those things, but again, I will state this one more time, that trading is not about perfection. If you're striving for perfection in trading and things have to line up that nicely every time for you to take a trade, probably not going to get to take that many trades. Things just don't always work out that way. If it was that simple, everyone would do what I do and we'd all be rich. It's just not, that's not realistic. However, the plan is there. So Bitcoin's still above support in terms of just local market structure. And if you wanted to go ahead and see if there was any other database supports, what I mean by that is like a range data, I guess would be the appropriate word there. And I'll get rid of this weekly stuff here just for a second. I'm gonna leave the previous week low on there just because I think it's relevant. Now we already have the daily up. We don't need them both. But if you go out to like the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame, and we start kind of perusing some of these local time frames on like a 1 hour chart, for instance, and you can see that you are at the weekly value area low and the monthly value area low. So you are at support currently, and you do have support just beneath you. So this isn't a time to necessarily flip bearish, especially when market structure is technically still intact. So you really have to wait for that closure below these levels, I think, or at least a back test or a support flip of, you know, like this 16.6 or 16.622 level to really want, if you're not short, if you're trying to hedge, so to speak. But I wouldn't, this isn't a place I'm looking to hedge short. I'm actually playing along off of this level, looking for my take profit one here shortly. So where do I change my opinion on price action? Again, same thing, guys. Above the monthly point of control, the moving average for the entire range on our merged range, right? So if we go back to our merged range from our dump, there you go. What do we do if we're back above, you know, roughly 17K? You're above all major points of control. You're above the average of the range. We can start looking for that press and probably take this local high, which is something that I've been saying I would like. I said that, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days ago. We'll see if we get it. The main reason I want it is because I did take the short here and I already closed the short in profit. So I'm looking to maybe get another short. But, you know, like I said, you don't always get what you want. So I'll be pretty patient here, just kind of taking the trades as they come to me. In terms of the SPX, right? So we were expecting a bounce here out of the 0.5. That's your first target of the shark. I've got quite a bit of information here. We're going to go ahead and clean this chart up just a little bit. We no longer need the trend. We have our overall resistance right here we can get rid of as well. And I've got a lot of ranges up for you. And the main reason I have all these ranges up, these are all very high time frame ranges, everything from, you know, 24 down to like 3 months, right? What is the relevance? Well, we've been talking about the 2021 low being the target if we start breaking below the 50% mark. I do believe that is still the case, but where does the 2021 low come in at? It's below all the ranges. So it gives you a really great trading opportunity if you're a traditional markets person, because then you can either play the reclaim and the deviation on a higher low, or if it's a breakdown, you know to stay out of this market, as it's probably going to start making that attempt down to lower targets over time. But maybe we don't get that move at all and it bounces out of this region. It does hold. Where do we start changing our opinion on a challenge of the high and, you know, making a new high, or potentially seeing this trend try to continue to the upside? Because as of right now, it's putting in a higher low, potentially needs to make a higher high to change the trend, right? And that's why we have our regression to let us know what the trend is doing. The trend's still down. And I do believe we have a trend for this certain data right here. And you can see this is your trend for the quarter, and it's not really looking too great. Down below the trend right now, trading out of it, not formally back testing, but you're back testing the trend. Never a good sign. So we need to see these major points of control. If you go back all the way in price, all the way back to, I believe this is, looks like the beginning of 2021, and you start tracking this level right here around 39.23 to 39.50 is just absolutely crucial. So if we were to come up and back test this level, I wouldn't be surprised. However, this needs to be reclaimed in the short term to, kind of keep from downward pressure coming down. So if we reclaim 39.60, I would say kind of be conservative here. Yeah, we could start looking up for maybe a new high at 4,100. The quarter two low is just above at 41.22. And again, guys, with the anchored VWAP, another gem for you is if you were looking for the high here, you could have easily just pulled an anchored VWAP from the overall high, the beginning of our time-based regression as well. And where does it come in at? The exact high of our D leg. So another really great confluence you guys can use. And you could say, all right, well, how do I use this information now? The trade is gone. You can always add a multiplier to it if you'd like. To see where the deviations come in at. You can see you're already at the deviation 1 exactly. So lining up already with other technical analysis that we've done. And that's what you want to see in general. Then you could go out to the 2 spot and you could say, what happens if we lose that? Well, this is saying that if we lose this area that we've been talking about, you're going to probably challenge into the low of C, which, again, the next technical target for this is going to be the 886. So that's 35.61. So I'm not giving it that leeway. I'm actually looking more towards the 2021 low first, taking it step by step because traditional markets just don't move as quickly as crypto, obviously. But if things start to get out of control, 35.61 is not off the table. And I really don't think it stops there. I think at that time, you're really looking forward to a move into these higher time frame targets, which again, start building out the 113% retrace, which is the next target after the 886 of the shark, 34.10, and then the ultimate target, the 1618. Look how nice that is at 31.14, coming in where at just below the yearly key level that is still untapped, so a naked yearly pivot, and you've got a nice clean 6-month level here, plus it is your macro gold pocket. So this has been the area we're looking for, right? And maybe that comes in on the 618. We've got fib time for Valentine's Day. I've been on about that day for a little bit. You guys know how much I like to tinker with that stuff. So that's how this move transpires. So for anyone that's watching, that's how you start deriving targets. You have macro and validations. 2021 open is going to be a big one. You lose that, and I think that, you can start, and I wouldn't say planning, but you can start really kind of saying, okay, my invalidation is hit. I really need to be looking for a reclaim of certain levels. If I don't see them, I'm actually looking all the way down here for continuation of this overall trend. And the Santa rally is not coming. Everyone's getting coal in the stock market for Christmas, right? So that's really all I've got. I mean, it's a pretty in-depth breakdown, I guess, between the two. I haven't looked at the DXY in days. I will take a peek at it, but I don't think that there's too much to talk about. I think it's going to be in confluence. So this is something I will point out. So this was on Friday, the 9th of December. I put this line on the chart. And this is our low. We came within, what's the low? 103.448. This line is at 103.418. So we were off by, 0.03 of a penny, a little under that. So was expecting to see this low essentially and front run this level potentially. Or if we came down and hit the level, I just wanted to see this level reclaimed. So this was the area where I had alerts. Obviously, my alert did not get triggered because we missed it by about, 0.03 of a penny there, but it is what it is. Now you'd be looking back up. Top of the structure is going to be your initial target, to be honest with you. I would just be looking up to 105.63, and then I would stair step it up. You have your regression for the year that is coming to a close as well. And now you can start, pulling off like local fib targets, things like that, if you wanted to, And I actually saw that Scott Carney, so for anyone who doesn't know, he is the inventor of harmonics, actually tweeted out my bat that I had put up, and he was still calling this valid because in his system you can come down below it and get like an HSI or something check, and it's like a type 2 or however he words it. I don't get into all that. I don't think it's necessary because I don't have his system, but he's still calling this at, if you reclaim D essentially, which is what he'd be looking at, or I'd be looking for X personally, I'd be looking right here. Now we're looking up, and we can say, okay, maybe this is just a, not a fake out for lack of a better term, but a failed breakdown, and then a reclaim of the level, and we start looking for the top of the structure again, right? And so that would imply a rally out of the dollar as these rate hikes take effect. That could be expected. I know there's also other factors coming into it with oil prices and like who's transacting and what, but I do see this area right here down in this region, and I've got my magnet on, so that's got to get changed. I see this whole zone right here. Whoa. I don't know what I'm doing here. There we go. This zone as support, right? So this is going to be very important support. If we go back to the monthly time frame, and I'll get rid of the trend real quick here. It's just no longer necessary, and we'll get rid of this. You can see why it's such important support. You don't see it on the monthly here, but you can see that this is just a nice structural range in terms of levels. These are yearly levels technically. So should we come down and lose this little region that I just had circled for you, not a great look out of the DXY. That would look like this wants to just absolutely nuke. But you're at support now, so we don't do anything crazy at support. Other assets are coming into resistance, obviously, at the same time. So it's really cool how things line up like that. Everything works in concert with each other. So I would be looking for a bounce out of the DXY here. I don't use any indicators on it like RSI. I just don't think that those work on this asset. That's a big hot debate from people, is using momentum indicators on something like this currency. Everything that I've read says to discount that. So I'm just not going to use them, and it's not really my cup of tea anyway. So I just stick to market structure, harmonics. I don't do any volume work on this chart because it doesn't let you. I think you can find some settings with it and it'll let you do volume work, but I don't really do it. So I don't have anything else. I'll turn it over to Max, or I'll just keep talking.
Well, you can keep talking, keep fangirling if you want about Scott Carney.
Dude, Scott's a legend, man. Absolutely.
Dude, be sure to check your casserole, man. That thing's probably burning.
The oven shuts off automatically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Magic's fangirling, and he's also told us all in advance that we need to tell our missuses that we can't do anything on Valentine's Day because it's fifth time being.
Giving all you boys an out. I'm giving you guys a boys an out here on the day.
There we are. We've got an out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So mine is going to be pretty quick. We've not really done too much as of late. I just want to say that we have been telling the members on the streams that we did yesterday, and I've kind of just been hitting home the fact that, the ranges that we've been in, you all heard it on Monday when I did the stream. We expected the drop, and you heard the reasons why. This kind of range that we've been in has been, exactly the same, pretty much. You've had increasing delta, increasing open interest, which shows us that buyers are being more aggressive in the market. Yet we're still in the range and not going anywhere. It's even making lower highs the whole way down. It's a really weak attempt from these buyers, but they're still aggressively coming into the market. So we've been letting the members know. We expect to drop. This is not a bullish sign, and we gave them some levels. Granted, I think this one was an SFP potential, and then we also mentioned this one down here. Now I know a few members in the group have taken it. Risky. We have not really seen a solid reason to enter. You did get some indecision as you came down. You had the big volume spike. Okay, so that's good. You've seen a volume spike, and delta somewhat doesn't line up, but it's not enough for me to really say a ton of positions changing hands here. You did get a buying imbalance there, which I presume they entered on. Now, the only thing that I'm looking at here, which is favorable for their positions, is the fact that as we made a second attempt down, as it tried to come back down and head lower, you had a load of shorts pile in. You can spot them here, 2.7 million, increase in open interest, and on negative 1.7 million delta. So it shows that there's aggressive shorts here. But even in this candle here, where you've got positive open interest, we know open interest is a contract between a long and a short. So that also means that some shorts came in here, but they were unable to beat the longs, so to speak. So you've got some shorts here. So the fact that we're above it is somewhat favorable, but it's not enough that I can really, it's not enough yet for me to scream and want to take the long. The fact that we just dawdled here for a little bit, the speed aspect of the trade is gone, which is always something that you kind of want to see. Now, as we make our way back down, it's kind of releasing these traders. It's letting them get off light. So it is a worry if you're in a long here. Now, where am I expecting it to go? If we don't go and tap the weekly open, which isn't looking too likely right now, because more shorters have entered at the top here, and they've actually managed to push the price down a touch. Granted, not too much, could change. I'd expect we to make our way back up, easily touching the week open at that point, which I know is their TP. So fingers crossed. But if not, personally, I am expecting us to come down to the golden pocket. Let me just swap to the hourly, because it closes out some PVAs that we've got, and it's a potential trade setup. So if you've not already taken this trade, I'd be cautious with entering here, because it's not a strong low. You've got some way down. You've got some distance between us and this golden pocket, which is kind of the area that I'm looking at now. How could have one got into a short for this move? Well, it was pretty simple. It was an SFP of the Asia high. Asia high made in the morning over here. You actually came back up in the middle of the day in the London session, took the high. Was it an easy trade? You had your indecision. You had, it was a weak attempt of taking the high. You can look here, if I zoom in a little bit more and make this clearer. When you came up and tried to take it, you had, change my screen because it's making me look at it weird. A lot of delta, open interest not really doing too much. It's actually, shows that you did have a load of people stopped out, but then the open interest clawed it back. It just isn't like a strong sign of a break of, a session high. And then you made your way back in. As soon as you make your way back in, you still got some buying attempts. So I guess you don't have a selling imbalance as such, but the fact that the delta was so, relatively high to what we've had so far today, and then you get your indecision, and then you start to get some real negative delta coming in. Knowing that you've just taken a session high, it's always a good trade setup. I'm actually going to eventually build statistics on the session highs. I'm just working my way down from the monthly, because the SFPs of these session highs are, they're a very valuable trading tool that everyone, I believe, should be looking at, because you get 4 every day. Well, you effectively get 3 or 4 every day. And they're really useful to trade. I know myself and Magic and CBO all look at them, so definitely be aware of them. And this is not a solid break, and you clearly had a huge stop loss hunt with this wick down that you've got below. So with that being the case, that is the only trade that I could possibly see of how one could have got into a trade to make the most out of this this short potential, this move down. But yeah, other than that, there's not really been too much to go on. We gave a range in this morning's stream, and said you have to wait for the highs or lows, or have to wait for a setup. You can't be entering in the middle here, where we were in the morning stream, and be like, I think it's going higher, I think it's going lower. You can't do that just because we've done the analysis of this mini range, and then this range is literally from here to here. I did it on the TPO chart. As we've done the analysis and spotted that the longs are weak, you can't just take a short off that. You have to wait for a trade setup. It's just like a market analysis rather than a trade setup. Okay, you've done an overview of the thing, but then you need a setup to then go with that market analysis. So, and that's kind of what the Asia high SFP was. It was your setup in order to get into this trade. But yeah, really quick one from me, expecting lower. So apologies for the guys that did take the SFP trade. It's not looking too good, bruv. I always love that phrase. But yeah, it's not looking too good. So hopefully TP I don't know whether you guys have seen a video of the guy saying it's not looking good, bruv.
Oh, I don't know. I know Magic loves the term bruv.
You're not in the stream, Magic. I can see you talking. Say that again.
Yeah. Why is bruv used? I hate that word. I hate that word. I think it's so cringe. But
It's awful. It's awful. I never use it on a day to day, but that one video has just made me always use it whenever something's not looking good. It's not looking good, bruv. But people,
I fucking don't
it's just like
understand.
slang for brother. No idea
Yeah,
why.
no, I get it. I guess what we
It
say
came
bruh
from the
here, I
south.
guess, but
It came from the south.
yep. I won't get into it. I'll let you guys. I'll leave that one alone.
Oh man, I love
But
it.
yeah, see, you're handing over to you, my mate.
All right, thought you'd never ask, bruv. All right, bruvs. So last night in the member stream, yeah, we were, like Max said, we were basically in a position like we were over the weekend. So this was our weekend, right? For Ethereum as well. So same thing as Bitcoin. We came into a pretty decent area that we were looking for quite a bit, which was the, at the time, untapped daily. Shot through it, hit the previous, well, I'm sorry, this was the new previous week low, but came through it, got the reclaim, and very similar, right? You just kind of had this really weak little range being built up. Longs coming in, shorts coming in, not really pushing the price either way. And you get a long, time like this going down. What happens is you come through and you stop everybody out, right? So it comes through, takes out, gets a nice previous week low really nicely, gets the reclaim of the daily, shoots up. Obviously, anybody in this little range that was entering with longs or shorts, stop losses were probably hit. Maybe not. The thing with this one is that you always look at this level and think that this is where everybody's putting their stop loss just below or a little a percent away. Realistically, it's usually just below this because most people aren't entering right here. They're probably entering in the middle of all this chop, right? So if you're coming into this area, for example, and you're going to put in a long position and you're going to enter right here, you get the reclaim of the VWAP, you're living over, whatever gives you your reasons at the moment. Potentially you're putting the stop loss almost 2% away. So that's why just even with this slight wick below here, that does essentially eliminate a good amount of people here. Same thing for the upside, right? Like at the time you had this as our high. So if you're entering these areas coming into the new week with a long position or a short position, you'd probably put your stop loss just above this area. Once again, the average of the median area here still over about 1% away. So it would be a tight area regardless. So that's why sometimes you'll see not an incredible, push higher past these highs or lows. You really only need just a brief little wick above just to knock the majority out. Some people still, scathe by the skin of their teeth. But moving on. We were looking at this little area here and just very similar to Bitcoin, just really put in this, very boring little range, very small. I think this is maybe even within a couple percent. Yeah. So like a 1.5% aside from the high here. We were just going and going and going. And when you get time like this, just unfolding, you start, everybody gets worrisome, they start to panic or they start to get excited. It's one of the two. And it's like, oh, we've lived this region, you're up above $1,200 or for Bitcoin, you're holding 16.8, whatever the case is. Everybody's looking for that pushback to 17.5, which we might get. But you're going to possibly get something like this before, right? Where you come down, you take the majority out before you get the move up. Same thing just happened with Ethereum. Same thing just happened with Bitcoin, right? So, didn't take the local high at the moment, which was interesting. We were looking for potentially something like that, come back up, tag like 1233 ish or above, then come down. But we did tap previous day value area high. You tap the December overall, the monthly here, right? That we're looking at. You got the month range coming in here, so you got the that is a back test essentially, potential area to take a short from if you're looking for it. And then obviously today, lose of the daily open, the VWAP, daily pivot, all that came into play at 1213. That could have been an area as well. So similar to Max, like, saying like if you're, more so in an analysis at that point, because I you probably didn't have too many people actively getting in this at that moment. Maybe you did, but if you didn't get that, the next move is potentially looking for a long down here in this region, right? So where are we right now? We've come down to similar to, Bitcoin's weekly range. We're looking at our developing range here for Ethereum. You can see here that we've come down and hit the val pretty well. Right, getting a little bounce in there. For me, I mean, there's good amount right below us that I would imagine we're going to come down to meet. You do have the weekly open right here at get that out of there, just about 1282, and then you got the golden pocket right below here as well. So a couple of PVA candles in here that would fill out if you do come down to this region, kind of aligning with Bitcoin as well. And then we'll see how the reaction at that point, potentially a decent little bounce here, possibly even something that does take us up and potentially come up and stop out the shorters, right? So yeah, that's kind of I'm still leaning more so, when Magic was discussing the idea of, potentially seeing new lows for Bitcoin. I not that I'm anticipating new lows for Ethereum. I still do lean a little bit more that we're going to come down and see that untapped daily that we've been, looking for quite a bit. Timing is, kind of on our side at the moment. And we're just going to kind of see how the things kind of break down here if they do, right? So it's not a guarantee by any means. The main short was definitely up here at the monthly key level, which I even missed. So, it is what it is. But, for both Bitcoin and Ethereum, that was definitely the move of the month, essentially. And from now, and this is one thing I kind of wanted to point out too, is that even though, you got these big moves that do come into play, but see how, even if we were to move down from, this is our high at the moment, and we make our way down towards the untapped daily over time, pretty decent, 20% move, give or take. Yeah, like if that unfolds, that's a really nice move. But if anybody's in this short, trying to hold that position, especially if we do something along the lines of this, right, come back up almost, halfway up, and you give back essentially half your profits if you're not taking profits down along the way, which most people don't. Get nervous, you might actually cut your trade here basically before we actually make the move down if we get it right. So the reason we kind of give multiple ideas daily is because there are so many trading opportunities. The smaller ones are, in my opinion, they can, if you aim for a small trade every single day, maybe you don't get it, but if you aim for one, right, like you take the golden pocket, let's just say, back up to the daily open, I mean, that's potentially 3% move. Take a 3% move 5 days a week. That's a pretty big deal right there. Like this 20% move might take 2 weeks to unfold. Sometimes it takes 2 hours as well. But it's one of those things where you want to catch these small moves often, and if you get the big move, then great. But there are a lot more opportunities in the middle as well. And then if you miss the big one, it is very crucial. You're going to try to go for a swing trade, right? More so like a something you're going to hold over the course of a few days, weeks, whatever. The longer you're in the market, the longer you're more at risk to get stopped out, right? Max is always saying that he doesn't like to be in the market that long because the longer you're in there, you're at risk to getting ran back. Just something I just want to kind of point out there, because we have had even just in this last little, right now we're at 1180, which is where we've seen come and go basically all the way back to the beginning of, or the end of last month, so the beginning of this month. So for 21 days we are essentially, if you're a hodler, for example, we are right where we were on November 29th, right, for Ethereum, when there was epic moves to be made, and these aren't even very big. One thing I did want to bring up too, right? So as far as, say we come down in the gold pocket, we get a bounce, potentially where we are now, or the weekly open. I'd be more so inclined to look for the gold pocket more than anything, and then a potential reclaim of the weekly open if you wanted to get a little bit more confirmation there. But as far as a little push higher, if we get a move up with Bitcoin, it's something to kind of be noted that we do have this as our previous weekly level here, right? It was untapped, it has been met now. Bitcoin has not met the weekly level yet that we were looking at. I believe it's like 12.2, and into that 17.2 and 17.3, that region up there. If we were to go up there and meet those regions for Bitcoin, you do have to anticipate that Ethereum is going to follow along. And with that being said, if we break back into the the higher time frame range here, one thing is that the point of control is naked at the moment, right? We just both basically shot straight through it. So that does really open up, this as a decent target once we get back into that region. One thing to not, overlook as we make our way back up, however, is the 0.5, right? So that comes in at about 1251. And then obviously you got the golden pocket. So there's a good amount of, regions. That's a pretty wide area essentially, but from like 1250 to 1280, if we break above basically 1230. So 1230 right now is still like the main area. If you break that, flip that into support, then I'd be looking for 1251, potentially up to 1271 and into this region right here. So that would be the next staircase up if we get a decent little bounce out of here. And as far as downside would go, that's still pretty much on the table for, coming down. If we get the rejection at these levels here, which I am anticipating, even if we do come back all the way up to here, you're still putting in a nice little lower low, come back up from this region, coming from this area, you put in a lower high, and then come down from there. One thing that we're not doing right now, right, is holding that 1222. Kind of clean this up. This is more of like the day trade chart. So this area right here, right, it's been the higher time frame range that I've been looking at for quite a bit. Targeted the monthly level here. Obviously, was, like I said, that was definitely the short to be had. The reclaim of this region to me is what's going to separate us from continued downside and switching that, and seeing a possible reversal, at least short term. Flip that 1350 and we can see the quarterly. This is also a gold pocket. I just erased it, but the box is still there. But this is the gold pocket from current high to low. Otherwise, we've lost our major support. We've back tested it already. At this point, I have to target 1031, which is really 1038 on Bybit. And the big thing about this level is, once again, I've been looking at this and looking for this for 6-7 months almost. Coming down to this region, effectively you'd be taking out these two lows, right, which has been put in place over the last month and a half here from the November area. I'd imagine that might incite a little excitement in there, like have some new longs coming into the market, things of that nature. Possibly not. Either way, the reason that I'd be looking down for this more, once again, you would effectively knock out everybody in this region, right? So coming down and taking these two lows right here, which is all the way back from June. It's not the low, but it's the two that are right next to it here from basically July and but June and July, middle of June, middle of July, but it's not the actual low. Coming down something like that, and as long as we don't lose this low, potentially have a really, really nice bounce coming out of that. But yeah, I mean, that's the roadmap for me. I mean, at the moment it's 1230. We flipped that. You got a little bit more upside, kind of monitor as you go. 1350 is the real, flip this to support. And then we potentially have an uptrend on our hands, at least back up to 1450. But aside from that, coming up to even that 1280, we'll flip back to the other chart here. Right, even coming up to these levels right here. These would be potentially where I'd be looking for the short, right? So, and that does start at 1230 essentially, and potentially even 1221. But I would imagine we'd come up and take 1230. So 1230, 1251, up to 1281. I would prefer to almost leave this point of control naked as we go into next month, because that would be a nice target on the way back. So something to kind of, not that has to happen, but we don't have to come back and tag this right now either. So that's just something to be said there. The only other thing I wanted to bring up was, last night we talked about a couple of altcoins. I know I posted a bunch of altcoins in my update section. I've pulled back a little bit on them over the last few weeks, just because, the higher time frame was just, pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. We had a bunch of range rotations, we had pullbacks, and, looking for a potential, drop in the market, right? If it's going to be had. I've been kind of perusing across the majority of altcoins, and almost all of them can easily give up 30%, and then obviously have a really nice bounce from that. So whether or not that happens is the question, and that's the biggest thing that we really try to portray. Is it's not that even if we're anticipating these or leaning one way or the other, that's not to say that it has to happen. And you really have to remain neutral on the idea that price action is going to do what price action is going to do. So if things occur, you have to be willing and able to pivot. However, Matic, right, was when that Magic has a really good chart on this. I just built up a really clean, simple range for it here. We re-entered, and this is a really good example of if we get a push up from these gold pockets out of Ethereum, out of Bitcoin that we're looking at right now. So that's 1177 out of Ethereum, and that pushes up to like 1280, right? So $100 move, couple percent. Altcoin market's going to see a little rally as well. Something like Matic could push up another 12%. Could be broken back into this range once again, could push up another 12% and essentially just back test the value area high, which is bearish back test essentially, and continue lower. And the one area that I've been looking for, and this is not for a leverage trade or any, this is for a spot buy and hold and potentially a couple months, right? was back to the 59 cents area. That's an area more than anything. It's not to say, this is a straight up deal in the middle, right? This is the one thing we don't do is buy in the middle of the range. But from this region, this would be if I was going to DCA into Matic, this is where, I'd kind of take a gander at it. Potentially this untapped daily at 53 cents. And then, even all the way back down to this value area low. So for a potential couple months swing trade, right? So that's just something where spot buy, hold, whatever. Not 10x leverage and over the course of a few days or a few weeks. So that's what I'd be looking for if we get it. So it's one of those things where might still not happen, might happen a few months from now, who knows? But things are kind of lining up in that sense. You have a gold pocket just below here as well, like 66 cents. And right now we're holding on to this quarterly level. So losing that, I would imagine we're going to more than likely come down to the point of control at least. So a 60-cent drop. 60 cents would be the drop. And that's, just like I said, once again, these two levels right here, 20, 30%, it's in line with if Ethereum and Bitcoin take a 15% hit, 15, 20% haircut, the rest of the market's going to see, a decent move. So just areas to be concerned with. And then on the flip side, right, we come back out and we start living back above 86 cents. Realistically, probably want to clear the quarterly VWAP here. You can see that's been holding us down. 93 cents. You do have an untapped monthly now at about $1. And then this would be just similar to the monthly level on Ethereum, right? 1350. You flip that, we got upside. You flip this dollar, we got upside. So that's about all I got. So pretty short. Let's see these questions. I see. Oh, that's Burmax. Somebody's talking about the Jesus. What are you guys talking about? Oh, just Christmas coming up. I'll just change the subject.
Yeah.
Topic.
Yeah, no, and someone mentioned DOT, and I was like, yeah, DOT's coming down into like areas we've been talking about for a really long time. So like, yeah, all the altcoins are getting crushed, guys. And I do owe you guys some altcoin videos. I'm waiting on a new microphone. As you can see, I'm hoisting this tiny fucking thing right here, and it's actually broken. That's why I ordered a new one. So new mic is supposed to arrive Saturday. I don't know if it's going to with the blizzard, but it'll be a pretty sweet little setup once I have it.
I can't wait, dude. It's going to be like a disco going on.
I was going to get a Christmas tree for the background for after Christmas.
I'm keeping mine up all year, dude. This thing is a filler. Like, you don't want to see this window.
No, you don't really have a view where you're at, but everything's nicer to look at in Florida than it is here in Kansas almost. So
you can see the back of my neighbor's house.
Same with Dubai, though. Dubai's like, oh, yep, there it goes.
He had the debut how terrible that microphone.
Why we can't have nice things, guys. But I was gonna say Dubai. What is it? Just like you just look out your window and it's just sand and concrete, probably.
Yeah. If you like looking at buildings, it's great.
I don't.
Buildings
and the occasional building site. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, anybody have anything else to add before we hop off here? We've been rolling for about 43 minutes.
I think that's it, guys. If anybody's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, information for that is down below. We did have our members only market update last night on Wednesday night and Sunday nights. Traditionally, Sundays right after the weekly close. We will not have the Sunday night one this week because of Christmas, but we'll have it on Monday. We also do have a first month half off special going for anybody that's interested. So if you come over to leadingcrypto.io, you come down and kind of get a good idea of what we offer in the group, our academy, things of that nature. There's a couple of reviews down here as well. And if you click on membership plans, do get discounts for the more you do. But if you just want to do the monthly, hit subscribe and put in a discount code for that first month half off. So it's BTC22 and just hit apply, cut you right in half, and there you go. So other than that, I think that's about all. Oh, wow, nobody could see that there, but if you do go to leadingcrypto.io, you will see that area. Other than that, let's finish off tomorrow strong. We got the Santa rally more than anything is going to come on Friday only, I believe, if we get it right. So have a great morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you then. Cheers.